Alright, this is my 1963 Impala Super Sport. I've had this car for 1 year this month. I got this car from my father-in-law. He had it for about 28 years or so. He bought it in Oklahoma. Ketchum, Oklahoma was the town he bought it in. And actually the story that goes along with it, kind of neat, I think. He bought it from a guy who inherited it from one of his buddies. And when he inherited it, all he did, from what I'm hearing, because he had more money than he knew what to do with, all he did with it was he put it in the barn. And there it sat for a number of years until he put it in the paper and sold it to my father-in-law. So it's an original Oklahoma car. And up to about a year ago, it's been all of its time in Oklahoma and Texas. I live in San Diego, California. But I ended up buying it off my father-in-law. I think he paid about $2,500 to $2,700 for it. And as I mentioned, it's an all original with the exception of the wheels. It's got little baby moons on it. The engine's a 283. It's not all original. Well, excuse me, it is all original with the exception of the carburetor and intake manifold. It's got a 4-barrel quadrajet and obviously a 4-barrel intake. But aside from that, it's pretty much all original. As far as the car is concerned, the integrity of the car, structural integrity, got a little bit of rust right there on the driver's rear wheel, just forward of it. So that'll end up being a patch panel there. Some scratches, I have no idea where those came from, but those have been there a while. And some rust right here as well. So aside from that though, there's no other rust on the car. The paint's been rubbed through a couple times here and actually over on the other side as well. I think the car was in a wreck of some sort. Either it hit something or something hit it. Back here on the left hand side, basically, and you may be able to tell right now, but the gap that you have between the bumper and the body on the right hand side you don't have over here. And the bumper actually sits a little forward and a little further up. So when I back up, you may or may not be able to see it right now, but in the sunlight you can really tell. Right here, you can tell that the molding was basically pushed in because the bumper at one point contacted it. So I think it's a matter of the bumper braces being bent or a little bit cocked in there. So bending those brackets back, or maybe even just replacing them. I don't think the bumper itself is actually bent. I think it's the brackets. And then also right about here, you can tell that the paint changes from a red to almost a more of an orange over here. So somebody did a kind of a crappy job of repainting it after it was after it got hit. So aside from those couple of things, I mean, the trim here I think was jammed up against this piece of trim, so it's tacked on there after it was torn off. But aside from those couple of things on the driver's left, or the left side of the car, it's pretty straight. You can look all the way down the body line and you can tell it's pretty straight. It's the original paint. When I got the car, I actually went and bought a little bit of rubbing compound and polishing compound, and then a polishing wheel, high quality polishing wheel, and hit the hood, the hard top, and also the trunk, because they're a little bit hazed and they're oxidized, and they still are to a certain extent. You can still see some imperfections in it, but things like this all over the car, dents, dings, rubs, scratches. So for being almost 50 years old, you know, it's not in bad shape at all. One thing that I'm not sure of is why there's no rust on this side. I've looked at that fender, the rocker, and also the this quarter panel here, and no signs of rust whatsoever anywhere. So why there would be rust on the left side and not the right, the only thing I can think of is maybe the left side was more exposed to the elements when it was stored with the original owner. I don't know. But I know as long as my father-in-law had it, and as long as I've had it, it's always been in the garage. So, what else? It is an SS, as I mentioned. The interior in it is all original. It's got the original SS interior, SS console. The carpet definitely seen better days, but that'll eventually be replaced. You probably can't tell. You definitely can't tell, but the back seat's in just as good a condition as the front. Door panels, normal wear and tear on the armrests, but you know, everything's there. All the buttons and the trim and knobs and glass is all clean, no chips, no scratches. Exterior trim's all there. Mirrors were replaced at one point by my father-in-law, but aside from that, you know, everything's pretty much as it sat, or is still as it was years ago. As far as the engine's concerned, plug in some light here. You can see that it's standard old 283. It's even got the original washer fluid bottle there on the left-hand wheel well. Dirty. Obviously, you can tell that it needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but you know, the only bit of surface rust that I see is here on the hood latch bracket, along the front here. Not on the back. That's all dirt and dust and you know, brake fluid that dust is now stuck to. So cleaning this up won't be a big deal at all. Take some time and a few bucks, but not a big deal. And as I mentioned, the carburetor is a 4-barrel now, quadrajet, which I'm not really crazy about, but it runs good. And we'll start it up here on the next video. One thing you guys may be able to help me with is the fact that I'm a little kind of a little stumped as far as why the car would be lagging or sluggish off the line in either low or drive. It's got a power glide transmission, which, as most of you probably know, is a 2-speed automatic. When you when you stop from, or excuse me, when you get going from a stop and you punch it either out of low or drive, it's relatively sluggish. It won't even spin the tires until you get about up to 10-15 miles an hour. It's kind of sluggish, and then once it hits 10-15 miles an hour, it's gone, bat out of hell. And then on the highway, at normal cruising speeds, you punch it, again, goes like a rape date. But so I think it's probably the fact that it's a little 283, almost a 4,000-pound car with the power glide, and like I said, the quadrajet doesn't help because it's more of an economical carburetor than it is for performance. But if anybody's got any ideas, I've checked the timing, dwell, messed around with the carburetor a bit, but I'm still clueless. So there's one more shot of the car as a whole, and we'll be right back. We're going to start her up.